Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
What is this Facebook Live? I've never heard of this shit.
There's a lot of tough talk on Twitter, but there's not a lot of real talk.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Somebody who's never been.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy. Had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar. A straight-up omelet bar. And now look. My former interns tossing me down a bottomless freaking pit. You know, come to think of it, my whole life has been a series of what the moments. That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said, bitch, I'm the man of the house.
Yeah, you said bitch, though. You called your wife a bitch.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
Such a pleasure to have individuals saying that we're woke. It is. Yeah, exactly that, Recruiter Times. It literally is almost freaking June. God, man. Yeah, anyways. So how are you guys doing? It's a Monday. What'd you all do over the weekend? Did you do anything interesting? How you guys doing over on the East Coast with all the gas issues? I don't know, I got some mail here, and I got some stuff looking at, I guess, up and down the coast. There's some shortage of gas, and now all of a sudden, the Gas Buddy app is one of the most popular apps downloaded, and Apple Play or the Google, Apple Play, the Google Play and Apple App Store. So check it out. So I hope you guys are doing okay. I guess some of my friends over in Northern Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, some in Georgia, in Florida, are getting some. I guess they're finally getting some gas, which is good. I'm running solo tonight. Well, at least until Nick shows up. But yeah, I'm running rogue. Everyone's like, "Oh, well, I got this to do and I got that to do," and I'm like, you know what? It sounds like I've not done a show by myself before. It's so easy. And I got you guys in the chats anyways to hang out and shoot the breeze. I know a lot of stuff right now lately has been happening. Somebody asked me, have we been getting pinged on Facebook about a lot of stuff? And actually we have. We have actually had a lot of pings on Facebook from you. I mean, some comments that some of you have posted on some of the comments on U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio. I guess Facebook is tweaking their algorithms again. We'll probably get shut down again. This is always happens every time we talk crap about Facebook. Facebook shuts us down midair. So if we fade out, don't worry about it. We can always get back on. There's been some algorithm changes, and so now if you've had a post or a meme that you posted, I don't know, back in 2016 or 2015 or 2017. You're gonna go. You're gonna get either zut or you'll just have your post pulled down. WTF Nation Radio, U.S. Army WTF Moments has had a lot of information just pull down. Just like, hey, we're pulling this out. We're taking this down. Hey, what's up, Nick? And so that's a lot of the information that we posted up there. Even previous podcasts with music and stuff with bands that have been no longer internet famous, but are actually famous. Have had their stuff. So there's been this week, last couple of weeks, if you guys have seen some of the stuff in the music portion of our podcast or our live material is on, and it's muted. Just don't freak out. Just forward it to the talking portions. And normally, like I said, we play some music and play some stuff at the top of the hour when we're taking a break, or when we come back on, and when we end the show. So don't panic. There's nothing wrong with your system. There's nothing wrong with that. But we were getting a lot of inbox, and I was like, we've been getting the same thing too. Some of the staff members of the main page and the radio have been blocked. They can't post. They can't go live because of the Zuck has hit. Okay, so there's another app there. Okay. No, I didn't. Yeah. Well, I'm outside the wire, Tim. You damn right. That's my secret, Captain. I'm always outside the wire. I didn't go all work though. Come on, I'm still here. I showed up to work, right? Pookie says that if you pull up to an empty pump, people will start lining up behind you. Yeah. So I mean, in doing some road trips, I had to stop for some gas up around the Virginia area, and I kind of like stopped, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm not here. And I stopped into, to run in and use the bathroom, and I had baby ice with me. So he was, he had to go potty, and the garage, or, the mechanic shop is still open. They're still working on stuff. So I was like, yeah, I was going there. I was like, hey, is your restroom open? And I parked, like, you're right, Pookie. As soon as I parked at a different angle, to where it looked like I was in line waiting for gas. And the line started, so me and my kid came out, and there was like two cars behind me, and I'm like, oh no, there's no gas here. So there's been people freaking out using that Gas Buddy app. I know Holly said, what was that other one? Let's see, what was the other one? Holly said Get Upside app is good too. So there you go. There's another app. Yeah, man. I guess it was kind of crazy. Driving around, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna? Gee, how many of you here were driving on almost E? I'm not saying I was driving on E, but I was getting close to the E, and I was at a quarter tank, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go get some gas because I'm gonna go do some stuff, and I saw the line. Everyone's like, I'm like, what's going on? And it was almost like, Starship Troopers, while everyone's running in one direction, and while everyone's lining up getting gas and freaking out and all that. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess there's ones at the gas pump. I guess it must be a busy day. And then as soon as I got to the house, that was when we heard about the cyber attack. The cyber attack on our pipelines. I'll be honest with you. I don't think am I gonna freak everybody out by saying by inducing panic. Someone said that we had a very powerful platform, so I got to be careful what I say, because everyone gets upset on some of the things that we do say and not say. There are some haters out there. There really are some haters out there that think that the way U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio's platform should be pushed should be done by their way. We try to maintain as much neutrality as we can, but you're always going to get individuals that say we're not. We're going to be, like I said, we got that dude that said we were woke. I'm trying to figure out what the woke means. No one has still sat down with me, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had friends giving me like what the true real definition of woke, but it's been blown out of proportion of what exactly. What it means. If I don't agree with you, then that means automatically you were woke. So that's kind of like whatever. But our enemies smell blood in the water. Weak leadership. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Everyone's saying the cyber attack was an inside job. So last Friday, a cyber attack was conducted against the Colonial Pipeline, which spans 5,500 miles from Houston to the port of New York and New Jersey, and meets about 45% of the East Coast's fuel needs. It was a ransomware attack, and everyone was wondering, how did that happen? What's those emails that you say, hey, click on here for this and click on here for that? Pretty much was what it was. The name of the hacker organization was called Darkside. Darkside. Even though the breach targeted business rather than operator computer systems, the company had halted all pipeline operations out of abundance of caution. So it's like a major artery. So the shortage of heating oil, jet fuel, gasoline, well, it hit the Northeast, and then the prices were already trending up. Well, then the freeze happened. It literally freaking, it started to back up, running out of gas in some service stations. There was like a percentage of each gas station or each state that had a number of service stations replenished with fuel. I guess everything's starting to come back now. Stefan says that CNN had been pushing the narrative for weeks about gas shortage this summer. Yeah, it's kind of like that's kind of like one of those things that you kind of really can. Someone at the Colonial Pipeline was interested in hot singles in your area. Exactly that, Tina. That's exactly what it was. It's oil rig hotties. Is that what you would kind of call it? You're like, oh yeah, look at these oil rig babes. Let me check out these oil rig babes, and then the next thing you know, that's what it is. I mean, is that what they're looking at? I'm just kidding. I'm just pure hyperbole. Joking around. Hyperbole, for those of you that don't know blah. There's going to be people that are going to be like, oh my god, now we're talking about, you got to take this seriously. Well, I didn't take it seriously when I was almost out of gas. It's like, holy shit. Our infrastructure is so bad that we literally we were cut off at the knees, and look what happened. There was even several fast food places that didn't want to admit it, but there was reports that there was fast food joints that were running out of food. Some grocery stores didn't get restocked because of the lack of diesel and lack of fuel for delivery. I will say this: I use the hell out of the apps, the delivery food apps and delivery grocery apps. Because I couldn't go and cook up some Taco Tuesday, or I couldn't make some steak and surf and turf, or couldn't cook the kid some some chicken and some waffle fries. He's digging the waffle fries right now. So I was using delivery. Me and the kid were getting spoiled, just kind of like just getting all that food, delivered. So it's like, oh man, it's like it was literally smorgasbord of chow. Yeah, was a little expensive. I actually kind of tipped a little bit more because those drivers are out there, delivering your chow, and they're kind of like messed up. And every time I would kick in a couple extra bucks for a tip because they're out there driving and stuff like that. I will say this: I was not surprised as soon as there was big drama that was a possible gas shortage. What do you think happened next? Just like, hey, what's up, the Sergeant SWAT is. Guess what happened? Guess what happened as soon as there was rumor or an inkling of the gas shortage? People were hoarding, and I mean people were hoarding with some crazy ass ideas of methods to hoard gas. It almost made it seem like people just lost their shit. Was there some sort of I don't know, it's almost like Star Wars when you're talking about Execute Order 66 and all the clones had a specific, chip went off and stuff, and everyone was kind of doing their own thing. Everyone immediately started hoarding stuff and things that I would never expect people to start hoarding gas in. Plastic bags, buckets, totes. There was a picture of a woman dispensing gas into a laundry basket, but what people were like, oh, there's no way, this has to be fake. She had the laundry basket lined with plastic, and so it's exactly that, Nicholas, exactly that. So and then there was an incident where somebody had overfilled gas so much in their vehicles that the fumes, and of course being in Florida, it was hot, and when you're rubbing around in your seats and you're moving back, you have static electricity, right? It wasn't a natural occurrence. Well, it's the fumes that get you. It's usually not the straight gas, and that's what happens. Freaking Hummer H2 lit up and caught on fire and was burned. And it's kind of like, man, dude, is this Yeah, exactly that. Those people voted. Just Pookie says, just remember these people voted. You know, that's a good point, Pookie. That's a real good point. You never noticed that all the individuals that were talking about unity, all the individuals that are talking about our fellow man, our fellow Americans, my fellow Americans, we need to pull together. We need to be Americans, and we need to pull together, and let's do that. You notice they're the first ones that were freaking. They were hoarding all that toilet paper and they were hoarding all that gas. I mean, some individuals look like they've never used toilet paper to begin with, but I'm just saying, the gas portion. How could you sit there and talk about unity and let's be together as one, as my American brothers? There's no way. There's people they were filling up water tanks full of fuel, just totally blue falconing their fellow Americans. I would have thought that, watching just the behavior, people fighting in lines and stuff like that, just to get gas or cutting or something like that. Yeah, we're starting to see some real American hood, huh? Starting to see some real brotherhood and unity, right? No, we're not. We're seeing straight buddy fuckers is what we're seeing. If you fill up your car and you take another 10 gallon, you fill up your truck bed full of gas and all that stuff, and there's a woman back there who's got to take her kid to school or to daycare or has to go to work, or parents or family that's got to do some stuff like that, and you're hoarding it, and you're just like hoarding it just to hoard it. What's up with that? Now there was several times, everyone's okay until 9/11 doesn't, until 911 doesn't work, right? Where's that one movie? It's just like it's people are basically decent, right? It was what was that movie? It was what movie was that? It was the Mist. You guys remember the Mist, where everything kind of like went to shit, and everyone's like, what's get locked into a freaking at the grocery store together. And there was that one woman, she says, like, people are basically good, decent, my God, we're civilized, right? And the guy's like, yeah, sure. As long as the machines are working, you could dial 911, but you take those things away and you throw people in the dark and you scare the shit out of them. There's no more rules. Of course, I'm paraphrasing the quote. It was from The Mist, when they were all in the grocery store. That was a pretty good movie. Chaos Theory, exactly that. People are there. You really are seeing. That's one thing about the whole pandemic. That's one thing about this whole shortage. I'm just sitting there watching everybody. You kind of see just people how really they are in this environment. Loyalty shift, finger pointing. Oh, it's awesome. I don't want to say that I practice in chaos or like watching chaos. Although I am, in my previous life, I dumpster fire creating was kind of like my gig, but there was kind of like one of those things, you would see. You'd see your fellow Americans loading up 5, 10, 15 gallons of gas into it, and then you're seeing some poor old woman. I mean, we watched it on the news. I mean, I kind of saw it myself. There are people hoarding, and everyone's like honking at that person. It's like, hey, just fill up your truck and go. Well, I got this to do, and I got that to do, and I got this to do. Man, it's so American of you. And then there was individuals who were anti-fossil fuels. They were putting out, there was a couple of pictures out there in the webs of people having Bernie stickers on their vehicles, or anti-pipeline. Exactly that, Nicholas. Chaos theory, man. Chaos. You watch the true nature of beings in psychology when just thrown into utter chaos. You see it in society. You see it in relationships. You see it in how you deal with your family. You see it in how you deal with your friends, wives, girlfriends. You see it happen. You see exactly how people become and just where their loyalties lie and where their faith in whatever. So they go into panic mode. Immediately they become, oh shit, unsafe. I'm going to fucking just bolt up and do this without listening to reason. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up a tank that's made that's made to hold water, and fill it up and put that tank on the back of a trailer that's only supposed to haul a couple of lawnmowers, and haul it around, and wonder why we can't freaking why that vehicle can't tow that trailer. What was that? We're so far from ever being a nation dependent of fossil fuels. No, see, that's the point. I think we were energy dependent on our own, anyways. We had our own fossil fuel stuff. You know, we had fracking. We were able to at least, be oil independent, I guess you would say. But what do you mean? You mean specifically? Are you talking about Pookie, about the Sergeant Suarez? Are you just talking about just being as a society being away from fossil fuels? Because our network is not, our structure is not the same. We are so independent on we are so dependent on fossil fuels just to do everything that it's almost a necessary evil. Yeah, did you see the one that tried to fill up with a styrofoam cooler? Yeah, exactly. End of the world tips. Exactly that, Sergeant Suarez. End of the world tips with Sergeant Suarez. Make sure you fill up all your fuel in styrofoam. Don't do that. Don't. I know people are going to be like, WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments. Me. They did this and said this because they're using their influence and blah, 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 blah to make shit. And I don't like it and they're mad and they're a bunch of hater misogynists. Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of tough talk on Twitter, but there's not enough real talk. That was that first bit that you heard in the beginning, right before the video showed up. And that was a quote from a friend of mine. I turned it into a soundbite, so Jack, shout out. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of like you really are seeing blue falconry. You're seeing blue falconry so much. How many people had just immediately run out of gas and stuff like that? They just had to fill it up. Military installations. So yeah, we really got kind of crippled on this stuff. This isn't fucking fear-mongering. This is fact. You just watch. I was traveling up and down the highways and stuff, and it was like, holy shit. Like I said, I'm kind of glad that when I got home, I was like, oh man, I'm almost on E, so I better go. Now I'll wait. I'll just wait and see what happens and wait this die down. Knox, was it? There's 16 acres of panel that can fuel the base minus HRC, but Congress makes us use local power. There's a lot of. You're right. There's a lot of legislative reasons on why some of that stuff happens. The windmill stuff. I'm just kind of like surprised that that's not really working out the way it's supposed to be. Once they outlive their usefulness, they cut them up and bury them in the ground, which kind of like defeats the purpose of energy independent and the ecosystem and. Worrying about the environment and all that. So I think it's kind of funny. A lot of it is so political, and I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna rag on all of them. All the ones in Congress, even the newly elected ones now, even ones that say they're gonna make a difference, ain't making shit. They're not making a difference. They're not telling you shit. I have had discussions where, we've already seen, yeah, you're right, Sergeant Suarez, we are. I have seen just both parties just fail us enough that all you can do at this point is, and this is from what I've experienced in my travels while all this stuff was happening, because I was traveling, I was on the road, and what I was observing is that there was more neighborly, and between different races too. It was just flat out, people within the neighborhood helping each other out. There's some people that ran out of gas on the side of the road, and you saw somebody with a siphoning their gas out of their gas tank to make sure that person was able to get to the house. Little shit like that. People in the neighborhood helping each other out, mowing each other's lawns and stuff like that. That right there, it's almost you're literally seeing fellow man, and when I mean mankind, don't sit there and say you're being misogynist by not mentioning women. I'm just saying fellow man. I literally have to have that disclaimer every fucking conversation we have on air now, because there's individuals that are so fucking butthurt and sensitive think that I'm not including everybody when I am. Help your fellow man, like mankind, But yeah, most of the time it's all the political BS out of it, dude. I'm serious. I mean, to the point where the neighbors and I, we just sitting like in the kind of like in the middle of the street, almost like a stoop. We just sit there and just talk, shoot the shit, drink a beer. Hey, what's going on with you? You got enough groceries? Do you need to run? This is it's like I said, that I've seen that more than I've seen of the government helping. I've really not seen the government help for shit, aside from the fact that the new CDC mandate has authorized the lifting of masks if you've been fully vaccinated. There's no way that I could ever, you can decide whatever you feel about the condition of how the mask wear is or the mask wear not. Thank you, sir. Well, Sergeant Smartest, I totally appreciate your compliment there. We try to be. We are. Everyone says we're not inclusive, but we get into it a lot by some individuals that like some influencers that like to shit talk and say that we're not, or say that we don't do this and say we don't do that. I'm like, okay, well, because I didn't do it your fucking way, then of course of course we're not being inclusive. Meanwhile, we have probably the most diverse team of mill media ever on the staff. So I'm just going to use that as our mark. So. But yeah, so the CDC, man, that's another thing too. The CDC probably gonna get flagged. Probably gonna get like a couple of drops of a couple of notifications, or probably get a COVID warning. CDC says we can lift masks. Yeah, you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Ibrahim Pahat, hey. Ibrahim, what are you doing over here asking for any soldier here? What would you like to know about any soldier here, Ibrahim? Where are you from, man? It's a pretty interesting conversation about any soldier here. The majority of U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio has a high veteran and military followership, Ibrahim. So, there you go. I love the Winter Soldier. When I wear that on base, everyone thinks that I'm just a boss devil. So if I identify as vaccinated, I'm good, right? Hey, you know what? It's on you. It's a matter of trust, and that's there were some people that are actually complaining, saying that if you don't wear it, then now there's people that are going to be out there that are going to be nefarious and not wear the mask because they're just lying to say it's not whatever. They're not vaccinated. So there you go. That's pretty much what the line is right now. They're literally spreading that stuff out, even though they're more likely you've gotten vaccinated or not been vaccinated, especially if you're in the military. Most of the military members have been getting vaccinated anyway, so it's not like a big deal. And there's been some people saying that no, they're probably the ones that aren't wearing masks are probably lying. I'm thinking, wow, okay, well, faith in your troops. Well, that's why they listen. You want to know why they listen to U.S. Army WTF Moments and follow the pages of the WTF Empire? Is because you say that shit about your soldiers. How about you trust them? Throw some trust out there, right? Thought it was a trust organization where you trust. So trust your troops. Obviously, they're going to know. They're going to know, too, if MedPros is up. But are you talking about the average Joe? Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, Margie McMillan, I can't say men and COVID and masks in one show. Oh, my. Oh, man. That's a good point, Margie. Oh, yeah, exactly that, Colin. Trust soldiers? Oh, my gosh. So, okay, so I want to read your comment there, Sergeant Suarez, if that's okay. You're saying that you're vaccinated and you lost family back home in New York City. However, watching the Yankees and 8 members between the staff members who had the vaccine tested positive for COVID, so we are still learning, and I will personally wear your mask. You know what? And that's on you, man. See, that's the thing, too, Sergeant Suarez. I'm not gonna make you beat your face or shit talk you if you decide to wear a mask. I'm not. If you don't want to wear a mask, cool. If you want to wear a mask, cool. That's on you, man. That's all on you. I'm not really going to, bash. But there's some people out there immediately. Yeah, like you were saying, all them Karens out there. next thing you know, freaking, they're gonna demand that you have a mask, or they want to see your car. You ain't got to show them shit. You going into a business style? Respect the business if they have asked you to wear a mask. I do. And if you gotta wear it, you gotta wear it. Doesn't matter. It's their business. It's their fucking. If it's their business telling you that you need to wear mask up, then mask up. I will say this for the military personnel: once the DoD has made this a mandatory vaccine, it's sleeves up, son. That's it. There's no more discussion about it. I think this is the first time I ever recall the military ever giving you a choice on a vaccination, especially because normally it's just you line up, put your sleeves up, and the 2 guns, and you get vaccinated for your flu shot, and you get vaccinated for anthrax, smallpox, and all the other ones too, Hep A, Hep B, all the Hep shots, and you just get them. So once it becomes mandatory and it's been authorized, it's no longer a fucking choice at that point, right? So you can, Margie, that's a good point. You're dropping some knowledge. You're just spitting fire right now. You can trust people on the honor system to wear masks as much as you can trust them not to hoard gas. So, there you go. I will, yeah. You ain't. There's some. I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. This whole crisis that's happened. It's really shown the true nature of some individuals, and it sucks. Now I let people go ahead of me because I get, like, you see that. I mean, I get a little sentimental. I mean, come on. I sit there and I see a woman with crying kids in the back, and she's in line forever waiting gas, and I'm right there too, and I'm overhearing conversations that the gas might run out if in the next few cars, and I feel like I'd feel like a dick. So I just hey, go ahead, fill up your minivan, and then I'll next. And, I mean, luckily I got gas, but it was just like I kind of felt bad, dude. The anthrax around 2007-ish was a choice. There was a hold on it because there was a case that was happening back in the day where it was a little bit, there was a hold on why it was happening. So they paused it for a moment, and then it came back. So it was a mandatory in the beginning. Then they had an issue with it, some legal issue. Then they stopped it. And then they returned it again. So, and then it happened. So there you go. That's the, and it was actually during the Clinton administration where it happened. It required all military members, to do it. And then it was in 2001. Actually, it was a little bit further back because I remember the case about it because it was a big deal because we're like, do we get it? Do we not get it? And the DoD halted the vaccinations because it was just like this one. It was non-FDA approved changes to it. So, but again, once it was rock and roll and mandatory, then it became mandatory. There you go. So again, shout out to the commands who have good job getting your troops vaccinated and all sorts of stuff. Shout out to the dick. Let's call them a bunch of douchebags, but I'm just gonna say. If you're not incentivizing your troops, I mean, because some of the things that piss me off about it is like if you're going to throw some incentives out to get your troops get the vax and then you screw them over on those same incentives, then you're not really providing them incentives now, aren't you? There's big back and forth arguments about they should still wear masks and they should still. Where does the DoD say about this, or what does the CDC say about that? You need to trust the science and all that. Well, okay, fucking, you told them if they got the vax, then they're authorized to walk around the post without masks on, or they can go on. There's even other commanders that have already gotten ahead of the game and put out some guidance. So good on them. But yeah, it's pretty insane. So again, I am not at all gonna browbeat everybody. You get it, you don't. You mask up, you don't mask up, you get it. It's gonna be like a trusting, like Margie said about the freaking hoarding. There was a lot of things that were supposed to have happened in my life too before the pandemic, but look how that, everyone's lives, I should say, not just my life, but everyone's lives, and look how that fucking panned out. So yeah, there's a lot of issue with it, but anyways. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to fight. Yeah, what was that? Let me see. Look at the comments here. The entire series twice because MedPros was slow as fuck to update shot records. Well, with a new IPS-A system, MedPros is going to be involved. So the commander is going to have more information at his fingertips. Well, you're going to have more information at your fingertips too. So, William White says, "Got my 2 shots. Fuck the mask." Okay, I got the J&J 1 shot, 1 kill. So on Knox, the installation CG is waiting on HQDA for further guidance until he rescinds the mask protocol. Any other station like that? No. Nope. Well, I should say there probably is, but I don't know. We've not seen it reported. I think this is the first time I've ever seen something about Knox being the same way too. Sergeant Suarez. It may be waiting for guidance. It's kind of funny how when they tell you to wait for guidance on something like that, when they were immediately telling everybody to mask up, but then when it came to taking the mask off, now they're waiting. They want to wait for guidance. This whole rollout for COVID, anyways, was a fucking train wreck. It was so bad. I appreciate you guys' feedback in the comments too. You guys are rocking it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and you know and shooting the shit with me. This is good stuff. I like this. This is the kind of feedback that we used to have it back in the day, so it's pretty good. You guys are giving me some... I'm feeling nostalgic lately, man. Now I want to go hoard some gas. Exactly, Tim. It's been a dumpster fire, man. It has been a dumpster fire so fucking bad. Just the whole rollout of it. I would say that this is like the ACFT rollout on steroids. The way the COVID mitigation practices have been, because you've had different commands, and I don't want to say it's because. No, I will say it. Everyone had different ways of doing stuff in COVID mitigation. That's when it first came out. I'm telling you, man. When General Abrams and General Donahoe, they lit it up when they were in Korea. That was like the gold fucking standard, man. That was the gold standard. And there's still milk in the clusterfuck. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the ACFT on Sergeant's Time on Thursday. There's a couple of things that we're gonna talk about. Spanky said don't really talk about some stuff until she shows up for Sergeant's Time, because there's some things that I wanted to talk about that tonight, but now she was like, no, don't talk about that. Nope, don't talk about that. No, don't talk about that. Nope. So she's gonna get into some stuff too, and some pretty good rants, pretty good shit talking. I can't wait. It's really cool. They totally are milking it, man. Totally milking it. I think the biggest problem is that there was a lot of individuals that were pretty confident, and it ended up. This is Iraq. Let me see what this. This is Iraq 2004, switching from a soft tops to bolt-on kits, and the ACFT had a baby. Well, yeah, exactly. Let's see. So, funny how the morale of the country is in the shitter and then the CDC and the Biden administration throws us a bone and no mask requirement. Do you think that had something to do with the administration there, Cause? I'll be honest with you. I don't even know is the administration doing anything? Are they? I do know that there's been some executive work. I do know that Congress is too busy fighting about a bunch of shit, back and forth. Mask wear or not mask wear. I didn't realize that we had such a nation of scientists. I didn't know that everyone went to the Facebook and Twitter medical school of epidemiology to understand. I mean, some of the actual medical people that I've spoken to, that I've gotten their guidance from, cellular biologists, epidemiologists, scientists, biomedical people. I normally would take their advice, and they have their own comments, but they're just the same thing. So, but I'm going to New York to visit family, and I got my fucking shots. I shouldn't have to wear a mask. There you go. It's your choice. I do think the decision between the CDC and the administration was coordinated. A common core makes scientists. You're right. No, for real, you're right. It's almost like goes back to that chip that I was telling you, that execute order, the Order 66 chip. Was there an Order 66 chip for everybody to start hoarding fucking toilet paper? I was kind of pissed off that I wasn't in on the game. It's like, wait a minute. Why is everybody hoarding all this shit tickets? Why is everybody hoarding all this gas? I had no idea that exactly that, Pookie. I had no idea that the CDC practice law. Hell, for a minute, I didn't even realize that the fucking Postal Service had a damn law enforcement division to check your social media. I didn't know about that either. Until they got cold busted about it. The same thing with the military's rollout when it came to COVID and the ACFT. Order, execute Order Blue Falcon. Commander Cody, the time has come. Exactly that, Sergeant Suarez. Holy shit. I didn't realize that we had so many physical therapists, nutritionists, dietitians, individuals who knew all about physical fitness when the ACT rolled out, and all of a sudden, bam, COVID hit, and that really made everybody into a scientist. I'm sorry, I didn't realize your certificate from VMI or West Point made you a fucking scientist. Holy shit, Bright, put on your freaking outbreak mask on. Let's go. You know, there was a game right now. Me and some of the crew play. Me and some of the fans play. There's a game called The Division. All right, and I was gonna play it before we started, but I was kind of thinking I can explain it for you gamers. It's based on Tom Clancy's a Tom Clancy novel. The Division is about a pandemic, and they get the extreme versions of individuals and turn them into gang members, or they turn them into some of the bad guys in the video game. If you've not read or watched a movie, just go to just look it up. It's a game from Ubisoft called The Division. And everyone's like, it's literally, you play that game and you're thinking, holy crap, this is kind of like, this is kind of like, wow, this is almost playing 2 parallel to real life. As a matter of fact, that some of the sites and everything that Ubisoft had to take down or change because people were freaking out and thought that it was insensitive to have a video game created about a virus, that's what it's about. It's a virus, and the whole thing is the game is basically on Black Friday. You know, bioterrorists release a modified strain of smallpox called the green poison, right? And it spreads rapidly throughout whole fucking society, and New York is starting to collapse, and it's called the activation of the strategic. Now, of course, this is the game. This is nothing to do with real shit. This is just the game. This is Tom Clancy. Shade. The name of the organization is Shade, the Strategic Homeland Division. And the main focus of the division is to keep peace and restore society while the government scientists work on a cure. So there's multiple factions that are struggling to, maintain New York City. It's a fascinating, if you read some of the literature about it, I think it's based on a book. Which is literally, exactly that, Scott. Just like every fucking, it's like almost every zombie movie, how it starts. So the factions are having, like, there's the Rikers, the Cleaners, the Last Man Battalion. There's a lot of rogue individuals within this. If it's like I said, it's a video game, and if you play it, and you're like, holy crap. Well, there's a version of people that are called the Cleaners, and the Cleaners are individuals who feel that they've taken upon themselves to exterminate people who they think is not following protocol to I guess you would say wear a mask. It's freaking eerie. Play the game. The Division 2, the same thing. If you play that one, you're like, holy crap. And there was a social, oh my God, thanks, Sergeant Suarez. Yeah, there was a social media saying that 5G was the cause of COVID and all this other shit. You know, the same people that spread that shit are the same ones that are fucking hoarding shit tickets and gas. Those are the ones who are spreading shit like that. And Sean Hannity. They're the ones that spread crap like that. They're the ones that sit there and say that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I've still, everyone follows a good conspiracy theory. Everyone likes to go down the rabbit hole. I'm not seeing shit happening of anything. Scott says you play the Division 1 and 2 concept, but I'm not really big on the gameplay. Well, there's a new Division coming out, another add-on pack. There's I think they call it the Wolves of New York, and then after you finish that, the Heartland is coming out, because the Division 1 was about New York. The Division 2 is about DC. Then you got to go back into your New York, into the Dark Zone and shit like that. And then you go into Heartland, where it's now spread into Middle America. And I think you play like in Kansas or something, Oklahoma or some shit like that. So, yeah, exactly that. The only rabbit hole I follow... The only rabbit hole you follow is WTF Moments memes. Well, thank you so much. Muchas gracias, Sargento Suarez. We appreciate you following the memeology, because we are all meme DeLoreans in one way or another. However, once again, if you play that game, you're like, oh my god, this is like so freaking eerie. This is like scary. And then you know, warning. You know, Isaac is the name of the central computer system that warns you about everything, and you're like, man, that's pretty cool. It's just pretty cool. I mean, people, you know, get all freaked out and all that. But if you game online and you hear a familiar voice on there, it's probably me, you know, shooting the shit and laughing at everybody and people getting mad. Then I'll jump on a GTA. Yeah, exactly. It's a good game. You're right. Like I said, a friend of mine said, hey, there's a new DLC out. And I'm like, okay, is this DLC going to release Heartland? And like, yeah. So if you go to Ubisoft and you look up the Division and the Division 2, you'll be able to see it. It's a fun game. I mean, I like kind of game like that too. It's yeah, exactly that. When they add the tower, it's not a bad game at all. I think that we have some of the Grunts Gaming kids. They play it too. But anyways, well, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. I know Nick is listening to us right now. And as soon as you hear music, more than likely, me and Nick are going to shoot the shit and talk and talk about his organization coming on. Nick's been on here before, and he came on to tell his story, and it's a pretty good story. And he represents Warriors Next Adventure. So when he comes on here, he's going to talk about it. He's already been in the chats shooting the shit, throwing his stuff in there, throwing his comments as well. But again, some of the stuff might be muted after the podcast, but it won't be on the podcast, if that makes any sense. The music and all that stuff, the back and forth and stingers, might be muted on Facebook afterwards. So don't forget, we have other platforms to download this from. We also have, and it's just on Facebook. If you follow us on Twitch, you can follow us on YouTube, you can follow us on Twitter. If you follow us on Twitter, at WTF Nation Radio, then you'll be able to grab all them details and look at that and all that through the Periscope app and all that. So, again, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be right back. So, everyone go refill your glasses, go get some gas. Let's see if you got enough shit tickets, and we'll be right back. Shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
These It's 3 a.m. and the sirens are going off. Another rocket attack. I've got my boots and got my ammo in my 50-pound sack. Boys headed to war in this world unknown. The only peace of mind I've got are these letters from home. Another day attack. I've tried to talk and tell you about it, but it ain't the same. All these thoughts that run through my head, well, they can't be tamed. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here in Kandahar. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here. We ain't far from Kandahar.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing. Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back. Man. Me and Nick, we're like rambling with each other and forgot we had a show to do. We're back with part 2 of the Monday edition. And of course, we have our guest, Nicholas Rahn, from the Warriors Next Adventure. And this is your second showing, man. You've been here.
When I first talked to you guys, I was a baby in the nonprofit world. I'm pretty sure I was only like active for like 2 months when I first talked to you.
You literally were kind of, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm doing that, hey, I'm doing this. But welcome back, man. It's kind of good to see you, you know, kind of, because you talked to Cause the last time, and I was listening in the last time too. But this is pretty cool. I mean, last time you had come on and gave a real quick broad stroke, but now you've gotten bigger. So real quick, welcome.
Well, dude, instantly, like initially, I was supposed to just do like hiking, and now we got like wolves. We got a race car. We're traveling, doing jiu-jitsu, like all kinds of shit, man.
That's awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So real quick, tell us about yourself, Nick.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Minnesota and joined the Air Force in 2006 because my dad did not want me to deploy. That didn't really work out very well because I wanted to be a cop. And so I figured the easiest way to do this was to just join Air Force Security Forces, be a cop. I could drive around in a little squad car, and then I'd get out and go be a cop. But I ended up going to Seymour Johnson over in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And that was a high deployment base. And I'll be honest, I was pretty stupid when I joined, but the only thing I was ever good at was shooting heavy guns. And so they made me a 50 gunner. Ended up deploying 4 times as a 50 gunner to Iraq, Afghanistan. Got out in 2012 and went through the same bullshit that most veterans go through. I mean, last time I was on, I told the story, but I'll dive into it real quick.
Yeah, and get a little closer to the mic because you cut off a little bit again.
Yeah, my bad. Is this better?
Yeah, much better. So
Okay.
Yeah, last time you had a pretty deep story. So yeah, go ahead. Just if you want to relive it, go ahead.
Yeah,
or not relive it, but
steps
just
away
discuss it.
It kind of steps away from your guys' typical humor, but it's the real shit, you know. And that's essentially what I do with this nonprofit is that we talk about the real shit. But I'm also a huge smartass, so I have to find that balance between like talking about deep, meaningful stuff and laughing because I said deep, you know. It's the sarcasm back and forth that I have to struggle with. You know,
oh yeah, it's a way to cope. Everyone always says you kind of laugh at an awkward moment, and you're like, no, that's my body's defense mechanism to kind of like not, you know, unleash my every fucking demon on your ass.
Well, the majority of veterans go down that road where they just like they joke so much, and usually the veterans that joke the most are usually the ones that are probably struggling.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of them,
Right.
you know, not all veterans are you know like that. I have a feeling that a lot of people are painting veterans that were weak, you know, because we're struggling with this shit. And I want people to understand, like, you're not weak because you're struggling with PTSD, because it's not something that you can fucking control, you know. There is a way to make it easier, and that's why I created this nonprofit. So my big issue in 2012, I got back from Afghanistan and found out Jody was hanging around, you know, that goddamn Jody. Everybody knows him. I'm sure there's the majority of people listening probably have experienced the Jody situation. So that night wasn't fantastic for me, and ended up leaving, and you know, shit got kind of wild. Me and my ex decided, you know, we're gonna get a divorce. But she ended up getting pregnant with my second kid before she left, and so when I got back to Minnesota, surprise. So we ended up getting back together, thinking that, you know, I wanted to be a good dad. You know, I already had one daughter with her. I loved her to death, and that's actually the big reason why I got out of the military, because, you know, being in Afghanistan, watching my kid grow up in Skype, that fucking sucks, man. You know, and there's a lot of guys who deployed that didn't get that opportunity. You know, you just get a picture every once in a while, or you get like an email, So I was fairly lucky that we actually had Wi-Fi in our tent in Afghanistan. It was pretty sweet. We were Air Force though, so
I was about to say you're like living in 4 or 5-star conditions. So,
the funny thing is, we were in a 60-man tent with 90 people. Dude, it sucked for like 6 months. It wasn't horrible, just because, like I said, we were all pretty close, so it was fun. Got back to Minnesota in 2012, and I did what a lot of guys did, and I ended up getting a job as a bouncer because I didn't know what the fuck to do with my life. And if anybody's partied in downtown Minneapolis, they'll know that recreational drugs are very accessible and very fun. I don't recommend it because it kind of drove me down a bad path. But for about 6 months straight, pretty much all I did was, snort blow at night so I could stay awake and bounce at the club. And then, you'd smoke weed at night to go to bed so you can get up for your day job in the morning. And then next thing you know, you're doing shit before you get to your next job. And the cycle continued, and eventually led to me not liking being around my kids, not liking being around my wife, and she just kept going south. And then 2015, found out that my youngest daughter was autistic, and that was actually probably one of the biggest shockers to my system, because how everybody has like a blueprint of what their kid's gonna be like, and we knew something was off, but now we had the diagnosis, and so we know that my daughter is likely never going to have a boyfriend. She's 8 years old now. She still doesn't talk. She's completely nonverbal. Great kid. She's lots of fun, but I can't do podcasts anymore when she's home, because the last time I did, I was sitting there talking to somebody, and I was live, and I had like 40 people watching. And the next thing you know, on camera, I just get bitch slapped out of nowhere because she was hungry. I'm like, maybe we can find a different system for letting me know that you're hungry, But she's adorable, dude. But it's that was a big shocker to my system. And at the time, I had been really trying to stop drinking, because last time I had shared that I was an alcoholic, and I would hide bottles in my boat down in my garage. I had like a hidden compartment that only I knew about, and I'd go downstairs and drink just because I hated my life. And I didn't realize that was slowly driving me into depression. I didn't realize that I was suffering from PTSD. I didn't realize that shit. A lot of people laugh when an Air Force guy says, "Oh, PTSD," but
yeah, but I think a lot of that too is, it's kind of perspective, because I know for a while there was some Air Force security force guys that was assisting some of the convoys up and down fucking from Kuwait to Baghdad, and there were some Air Force guys pulling fucking convoy duty.
Well, I mean, that's what I did in 08 and 2011, 2012 in Afghanistan.
Right.
Back, I was the lead gunner in my first deployment in 08, and imagine the fucking for the guys who didn't do convoys, imagine yourself 20 years old and everybody in your whole convoy is riding on you spotting a fucking IED, and if you don't, then everybody fucking dies, or your best friend dies, and that's a lot of fucking stress. But that's not really what got me. The main one was 2010, January 6, 2010. I got a call for shots fired on base. I was base security on this deployment, and so I got there, and I was the first on scene. When I walked in the door, a Joe had laid down on his bed, and he shot himself at the bottom of the chin, to the top of the head with an M16. And it's fucked up, right? But the worst part was he was still alive. And so when I went into the room, what do you do? I put my hand on his chest, and I held his hand, and I just told him, we got this from here, and he died. I still see that motherfucker like every day. And it got to the point where before I left for this tour, I was supposed to leave in 2020, but obviously COVID fucked that up. I talked to his mom, and I told his mom, I was like, "Hey, do you know what happened the night that your son was, this night your son died?" And so she actually told me the story that, he had been getting picked on at work. He showed up late, and people were fucking with him, but it got too far to where they were hazing him, and he decided that he just didn't want to fucking take it anymore, and he killed himself. And we'll get into the tour here too, but a part of the tour was I actually went to his gravesite for the first time about 2 weeks ago over in San Diego. So that will be a part of the documentary, but to me, it was one of the most healing things that I've probably could have done. Just because he is a driving force for a lot of what I do now, so I was struggling in 2015, and it got to the point where, you know, life was just too rough. And then I found out that Jody was hanging around again, but this time it was a civilian one. And, you know, I just said, fuck it, dude. And I ended up going up to this, we call it the Boundary Waters. It's a canoe area where you can only canoe or kayak. But I was 14 miles out in the woods, and I didn't bring any food or anything like that because I wasn't planning to come back. And I actually I took my 9mm and I put it to my head and I pulled the trigger. And the second that I pulled the trigger, like, everything went white. I thought I was dead. I totally thought I was dead, and I was like, "Fuck, this feels good." And I opened my eyes, and it was the most vivid colors I've ever seen in my life. And I just started to fucking cry, man. Like, what the fuck did you just do? And to this day, I still dream that I'm dead. I'm not living an actual life. I'm literally living a picture of what I've wanted to live. And I ended up dropping the magazine. I pulled the slide back, and the primer was struck, but the primer was a dud. So I had been kayaking, and I'm assuming some water got in the chamber and it fucked it up. But I mean, a lot of those rounds are supposed to go off even if they're damp.
Wow, man, that's fucking intense. That is so fucking intense.
Yeah, so ironic thing was my first phone call back. I decided, you know, okay, well, I fucking suck at that, so maybe I'll try something else. You know, and I ended up kayaking back. I called my jiu-jitsu coach, and I told him, hey, man, like, I'm going to go to Brazil with you, because he was going to Brazil to get his black belt. And so I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to go with you. And my second call was to my wife to tell her we're getting divorced. So, I mean, made a good choice there. And probably the best thing I ever did with my life, because I realized that she was very toxic to me. And it was a part of the reason why I was going down a bad path. And so after that, I tell people often with a lot of the keynote speeches that I do, you can literally manifest whatever future that you want. You know, it's not like that book, The Secret, where, like, if you just say it, it'll happen. Like, I want $1 million, and you just go outside, $1 million will fucking hit you in the face. That's not the way it works, you know? You have to actually manifest a future that you want. You create something inside your head, and then you actually make a path, and you walk that fucking path until you become that person you want to be. So I didn't think that the person existed that could have pulled that gun out of my hands. I still don't at that time. I had plenty of brothers that I could have called. Absolutely. There's plenty of veterans, you know, guys I served with that probably could have talked me out of it, but I didn't believe they existed. So I decided I was going to give myself 5 years, and I was going to create that person who could have pulled that gun out of my hands. And I was going to be that person. And ironically enough, back in October of last year, I got a phone call, a Halloween night actually. And I had a vet saying, like, hey, man, I just fuck this shit. Like, I can't do this shit anymore. And I'm like, dude, thank you for calling me. Ironically enough, he was fucking like 3 blocks from my house. So I haul ass to his place. And now I'm actually trained. So I was lucky in the Air Force. I took a class, active shooter class, but we were actually trained in hostage negotiation tactics by the FBI. So very good at mind fucking people. And so in 2013, until I left for this tour, I actually worked for the Minnesota State Patrol, and I specialized in crisis intervention. So I'm actually trained in this. So I'm not telling people to just go fucking take guns out of people's hands, but I'm actually trained in what I do. So I went to this guy's house, and, you know, I told him, I was like, hey, man, like, what the fuck are you doing? And so I sat down in the passenger seat and essentially told him, look, dude, if you're going to do this, you're going to do this with me in the car. I was like, but we're going to have a conversation first. And I essentially mind fucked him into thinking that he doesn't want to do it. Because if you get somebody to think that it's their idea, they're more likely to actually, you know, either not kill themselves or, you know, create a better future for themselves. Because you can tell somebody all day, hey, man, you need to do this. We're like, man, fuck you. But if you trick them into thinking like, hey, I need to do this, you're more likely to actually do that action. And so 5 years after I told myself I was gonna create the guy that could have pulled that gun in my hands, I physically pulled that gun out of another veteran's hands. I don't tell that story too much because I don't want to sound like a douche. I don't like bragging about the stuff that I do with the nonprofit. I leave that to the veterans. But people need to know what the impact of this nonprofit has had. You know, so I balance between, do I share this? Do I not share this? You know, so for the most part, I don't share shit unless a veteran tells me I'm allowed to. But I ended up getting, I started Warriors Next Adventure in 2019, because I didn't know of any programs. You know, there's plenty out there. I just didn't know of them. But a lot of them are Christian faith or like faith-based nonprofits, and nothing wrong with that. But I'm not religious. I've been studying Buddhism since 2016, and I always tell people I couldn't be like a full-on monk because I fucking swear too much and I like meat. So, you know, I was on Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast, and they dubbed it "You never go full monk." And,
you never come back when you go full monk, man, because you get so pissed off, you get quiet, and that's it. You just all righty then. I would
like one of those fancy robes, though. That looks comfy.
You hear that, Paul from Nepal? We have a listener from Nepal, and
nice.
and when we translated it, he listens to us once in a while, and we'll see some funky writing in there, and I think he's a monk because because I think he is, because where he said he was in a he said he lives in the mountains, so I that's what I'm picturing, like up in the mountains. There's a alrighty then, you know.
So it's, you know, this nonprofit's been the shit, man. Like I said, when I talked to you guys last time, I was like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I was just telling you guys what I want to do because I didn't have any fucking proof, you know. But it's been 2 years now, and dude, the shit that I've gotten into, man, like even I stop and look back, like how the fuck did this happen? You know, because, you know, now, like I told you before when we were talking before the show, like we actually have a wolf sanctuary up in Minnesota, and so we get to take veterans to go play with wolves. We get to build cages for them. We get to actually go in the cage and play with them, pet them. You got to be careful though, because Timber will always try to fuck you, so you gotta be defensive. Yeah, he likes to be the alpha. I was lucky enough to actually get to go rescue one of the wolves last March, because one of the owners of the sanctuary couldn't make it, so she's like, "Hey, do you want to go rescue a wolf?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" You know, who wouldn't want to go do that? It's pretty fucking sweet. So he was due for euthanasia on Monday. We got there on Friday. So people don't understand that wolves don't live outside. They have dens. They have shelter. This fucking guy had him outside on a chain with no doghouse, no shelter, nothing. For his whole life, he was about a year old. So it took a lot out of me not to knock that guy the fuck out, because I think I love animals more than like humans.
That's everybody, man. I think.
Oh, man.
You're not gonna see fucking wolves and dogs hoarding fucking shit tickets and gas. They're gonna be helping you fucking find forage food, you know what I mean, and be there when you need it. You ain't lying. We don't deserve dogs, man. We don't deserve the canine family.
They're amazing. The best part was, like, when we got there. So the funny story about us rescuing this little shit. We get there, and I put my back to him, and I slowly start to back up so he can smell me and everything like that. But he jumped up on me and tried to hunt me, you know, trying to just establish the pecking order. You know, so
let me try to see what Nig's all about.
Right?
Did you give him that sparkle or something?
I don't like that. Okay?
Yeah.
So I turn around, I grab this fucker by the throat, and I hold him down to the ground, and I start petting him. You know, because you have to establish dominance, otherwise these fuckers will not. Like, they won't respect you. But, you know, you start petting them, doing the whole canine, oh, go boy, you just high voice pitch and shit. And then within seconds, he jumps up, and he's just jumping, running around, and wolves will nip at your beard if you have a beard. It's like a plaything. So he's literally just ripping chunks of hair out of my chin and stuff. You know, it was cute, but halfway on the drive home, this fucker shit in my lap. Like, he was sitting in my lap, and I don't know if anybody's ever smelled wolf shit. But it's not like dog shit. It's fucking atrocious. And me and John were literally sitting there gagging. John gets out of the car and throws up. And I'm sitting there just covered in wolf shit. I'm like, well, fucking, I guess we're friends now. You know? So that was a good time. But the best part about this whole rescue is me and my veterans built his enclosure. And the day we got there, we kept him in the garage for like transport and stuff. So they have like a transport kennel in the garage. And when I got there the next day, they actually let me release him into his enclosure. And for the first time ever, he got to run free outside without a leash. And because of what our nonprofit was allowed to do. Yes, there's other veterans get to do stuff like this too, but I'm a participant of my program as well. I love all the shit that I get to do. And, I think it's been, let's see, April 18th is our birthday, and we've served over 1,000 veterans now.
I got a video. Just the real quick. I'm showing the audience the splash page where you got right now. Your page is up, and it's got the looks like you're climbing a mountain. And what's
yeah, that's babe, what's that mountain? What's the stairs? The Manto Incline. Sorry, the VA finally approved my TBI, which was nice. So I'm a little slow. I got a little bit of Dame Bramage.
Yeah, I hear you. Congrats, brother.
Oh, it's okay. They only gave me 10%. It didn't change my fucking rating at all, so it's all good. I just tell people it's Dame Bramage. You gotta
for real.
Let me catch up. So that was Manto Incline, but it was also Mount Elbert. And so every year we take a bunch of veterans on a mountain climbing retreat, and we go to Colorado. And we recently started doing a lottery. So the first 4 people to raise $1,000 on Facebook or any other way get to go all expenses paid. So we fly them out, we feed them, we put them up in an Airbnb. You might sleep on a fucking air mattress, but I can't offer you quality shit, but it's gonna be a good time. And we train jiu-jitsu while we're out there. We climb mountains. We always have a good time. Recently, we decided most of our retreats are going to be substance free, though. We had an active Army guy come out, and people were partaking in the Colorado treats, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And he's like, bro, I'm active. Like, I can't be around that shit. I'm like, fuck, you know what? I didn't think about that. Like, what if we have a veteran come out with us, and he's recovering alcoholic, or, he's trying to get away from drugs, and this motherfucker's surrounded by it, and he relapses because of my program. So now our retreats are substance free. We still do stuff every once in a while. If we have a bonfire, we'll have a beer or two. I'm okay with that. But the retreats from now on, because they're under our name, we stay away from alcohol and marijuana. I'm not against it. It's just
no. I hear you. You're trying to be, you're trying to respect everybody, whatever everyone's working things through. You know what I mean? If they're working out through something, I totally get that. I'm sorry.
So,
go ahead,
on top of last year, we got invited to a mental health awareness night at a racetrack called Gundick Law Speedway up in Superior, Wisconsin. It's right up by Duluth, Wisconsin area, the northern part. And I was walking around, dude. Like, they had me out just, like, to honor, they wanted a veteran nonprofit who works with mental health. And so they invited me out. I got to wave the checkered flag, man. That was so cool.
All right.
But I fucked it up, and I almost dropped the flag. The first thing he told me is don't drop the flag, and I almost dropped the fucking flag. Like, why did you say that? Because now I want to drop it. So I'm walking around the pits and shit, and there's like Dodge Neons and Saturn Ions. I was like, what the fuck are these cars here for? It was dirt track, mind you. And this kid's like, bro, it's the Hornet division. I was like, what the fuck is the Hornet division? You guys are racing Honda Civics? It's like, this is stupid. And he's like, no, dude, it's the Hornet division. So I was looking at it, and that night I actually had a veteran. He was walking around by himself, not really talking to anybody. But I can't let those fuckers be alone. I have this weird thing, like, I cannot let people feel alone, so I have to go make everybody feel included. But he was just sitting there having a good time by himself, but he was always alone. I'm like, hey, fucker, what's up? And he was wearing a hat. I was like, oh, were you in the Rangers? It's like, well, what makes you assume I was a Ranger? Like, you're wearing a fucking Ranger hat. He's like, oh, okay. I was like, well, you were definitely Army because you're not super smart. We start talking, and every trophy that was given out that night was actually dedicated to somebody who recently took their life, and he was actually there to present his son's trophy. His son took his life a couple months before that, and we got to talking, and he's like, me and my son used to work on cars in the garage, and so I told him right then and there, I was like, what would you do if we got a race car? Would you want to come work on the car with us? Because the whole point of my nonprofit is getting veterans together, using that camaraderie that we miss from the military, but also helping veterans find a sense of purpose. Because most veterans that are lost, I guarantee you, they don't have a sense of purpose. It's pretty rare that you have somebody who truly finds their passion and they're living their life with purpose that is going to be, really suffering from PTSD. It's out there. It's definitely out there. I still have some depression shit that I deal with, even though I found my purpose, and I'm very happy. So I'm not saying that, like, you find your purpose and you're cured, but you got to work at it, And so I told this guy, I was like, what would you do if we got a race car? And he just smiled. He's like, I'd like that. That'd be cool. Dude, in 1 week, I had a Saturn Ion. Now, when I say I have a race car, I have to make sure to tell people it's a Saturn. You know, like it's not like a fucking Lambo or some shit. But the reason why we got that car is because it's super cheap to fix. Like, I busted a radiator. It was $40 to get a new radiator.
Right.
Because I crashed my first race because I suck at driving. But we got a race car and a trailer donated to us in 6 days. In 6 days, I had a race car sitting in my garage. And so what I do is I keep it in my garage, and I have veterans come over, and we work on it. We any kind of issues with the engine, I invite veterans over. We all work on it together. Because have you ever sat and worked on a car in the garage with somebody?
Yeah.
You sit and fuck around in the garage. You know?
Yeah. You're coming in. You're fading in and out again. Are you moving Are you moving your head around or something like that? Or
is this better?
Yeah.
I talk with my hands, man. It's really hard for me to hold my phone still.
All the sound wave. Yeah, I was about to say. He was like, "What is this guy? Is he this guy running? Stop running with the phone."
I'm like jogging while on the radio. No, it's What happens when you're in the garage with a group of guys? Usually some really good conversations come up.
Yeah, you shoot the shit. Yep, exactly.
So I was like, you know what, that's another way to get veterans together, so fuck it, let's do it. I talked to my board and asked them, like, what do you guys think about getting a race car? I was like, dude, you're crazy, go for it. And luckily I have a very supportive board. And so we got that. So now we have a race car, we have a wolf sanctuary, we have mountain climbing, we have the podcast. That's just the easiest Warriors Next Adventure podcast. I just interview veterans that are doing cool shit. So if anybody's ever interested in just bullshit, you know, shoot me a message. But, you know, I got a lot of that inspiration from you guys too, because when I first came on your show, I was just like, fuck, I should do a podcast. You know, so thank you guys for being a part of that.
Well, dude, it's that's what we do, man. We is paying it forward. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. It's that's what we're here for. We're here to empower, you know, a bunch of nicks. You know, we're here. That's too. I mean, I know. Listening to you, you know, when I knew you were coming back on, I was listening to you and Cause talking, and I was just thinking, it's like you were, you know, just by seeing your media and seeing how much you've grown, man. It's that to us is it's hard to accept a thank you, because this is our thank you. I mean, this is a. You know, we see the work. It's almost like saying, well, like when you see a baby soldier get promoted to sergeant, you're like, oh man, you're all happy, you're proud. So we're proud of you, man. I mean, this is, you know, we appreciate the compliment, man. But we're this is awesome. But like, you're right, garage therapy, bro. It is the way to do it, because I know sometimes I'll have some friends from ride bikes or something like that, and you know, working on something, and you know, all of a sudden there goes the beer opening up in the fridge. You know, the next thing you know, we're shooting the shit. You know, and then, hey, how things are going with you, or how things going with the kids and the fam, and then you just start talking, and then it ends up something that was supposed to have been so simple to do in the garage ends up being like a 2-3 hour freaking oil change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, right? It just take 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Say, what the fuck are you doing in the garage?
Exactly. Okay, well, I'm going to bed. Okay, fine, go to bed. Anyways, me and Nick are gonna hang out. No, I hear you, man.
So the funny thing is, shortly after me and Kaz first talked, you know, jiu-jitsu was a huge part of my healing process. And so, like I said, after my, you know, suicide attempt, I called my jiu-jitsu coach. And I went to Brazil with him, you know, and things kept going. So, you know, in 2018, I actually was ranked the #3 welterweight MMA fighter in Minnesota. So using jiu-jitsu, you know, obviously I did Muay Thai and boxing too, but jiu-jitsu was always my focus. And I kept telling people I want to be the best jiu-jitsu fighter in Minnesota. And then 2018, I got knocked the fuck out, and I got another TBI, and I talked like Mayweather for a week. So I'm like, maybe I should stop. So I ended up quitting, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it eventually led to Warriors Next Adventure. And I quit jiu-jitsu in 2018, and then after me and Kaz talked, I was sitting here doing a lot of research, like, you know, why the fuck am I not incorporating jiu-jitsu in my nonprofit? And so first thing I did was, you know, jiu-jitsu nonprofits, and I found We Defy Foundation. And I was like, you know what? I need to link up with these guys, because if I'm doing this, I want to promote other nonprofits that are doing what I'm trying to do, because their main focus is jiu-jitsu. So with We Defy Foundation, if you're 80% disabled and you've never trained jiu-jitsu and you want to give it a shot, you apply for a scholarship. They'll pay for 6 months of training and give you 2 gis. And if you show up to class, I think it's like 2 times a week, and you actually show up because you have to earn your scholarship. They'll pay for another 6 months. So you can get a full year of free jiu-jitsu if you're 80% or more disabled.
Wow.
They're fucking awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome.
So I reached out to TJ. Yeah, I reached out to TJ Kreitzer. Sorry, TJ, I butcher your last name all the time. But TJK. And he, we talked, and I told him about, you know what, I'm incorporating jiu-jitsu in my nonprofit. I was like, but I want to team up with you guys. You know, they were much bigger than me, so they didn't have to give me the fucking light of day. They didn't have to even look at me because my nonprofit was so small. I think I had like 400 followers on my Facebook page. You know, it was pretty small. And we talked about my passion about jiu-jitsu and about, you know, what it's done for me and what I want to help other veterans realize. And this was right around the time where I was starting to come up with the idea for a documentary. And he's like, brother, we're all in. So we actually teamed up with We Defy for this documentary. And they're not involved with like the production, the filming, or anything like that. But what they're doing is we interviewed a shit ton of their veterans or they call them their athletes. So we've actually have access to all their gyms, their social media networks, and they've been sharing all of our stuff. We actually just went to the founder's gym, Combat Base, Texas, Alan Shabaro. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and judo. And so everybody talks about this guy's fucking judo. And I'm pretty sure he ruptured my spleen because I'm still coughing up blood. That guy fucking threw me and hit me with the fucking world. That guy is phenomenal. So we teamed up together. I pitched this idea for a documentary. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to travel the country for 50 days, and I'm going to interview veterans who have used jiu-jitsu to heal from PTSD. And I'm going to make a documentary about it. And motherfucker, I'm getting it on Netflix. Right? So that's a big promise. You know, I don't have connections to Netflix yet, but I'm big on manifesting what you want to happen. I will get this fucking documentary to Netflix.
Awesome. You know, right now I got a video. I got your video right now. On the grappling games, the Hudson grappling games right now. I got that.
That's probably when I was a baby.
Yeah, we got you. Got it all. And
what year was that? Does it say on that one?
I guess it was 2014 or something like that, or.
Oh yeah, that's when I was getting out of the military and still trying to find my purpose again. I started training jiu-jitsu again in 2014, and man, it's been amazing what it's done for me. I always tell people, like, you know, with being an MMA fighter, I didn't want to be an MMA fighter. I wanted to be really good at jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to showcase that in MMA. And I felt like my jiu-jitsu was good enough to where I think I'd be pretty good. And like I said, I was ranked number 3, so it's okay.
You know, I was about, you know, for some stuff like this though, and this is just a question.
Sure.
When you got knocked out, did somebody say, hey, you know, you get knocked out again? It's like, you know, like Rocky, you know how these, you know, you get knocked out again. He's like, bro, I want to fight. Yeah. You know what? I could fight. I could do this. You know what I mean? Like in the Rocky movies and shit. Did you? Is there like a class of veterans? Like they don't tell you, or are you trying to go professional or?
No, not really. There was a guy from the Mayo Clinic there, and he did like a chat. You know how you have to like say numbers and like do all this weird fucking tests and shit before you fight?
Yeah.
They do it after the fight too, and then they call you like 3 weeks later, and they check to see if your cognitive skills have dropped. So this guy called me 3 weeks after my fight, and he's like, "Bro, are you okay?" I'm like, "Fuck no, dude. I have like migraines. I had to wear sunglasses for like 3 weeks. I literally talked like Mayweather for like 6 months. It was ridiculous. My daughter always looked at me like, "Why are you talking? Are you drunk?" Like, no, I'm not drunk, you little shit. But I just decided, you know what? It's just not worth it, man. My jiu-jitsu coach, Mark Mortensen, he's been like a father to me. And like I said, jiu-jitsu, it gives you a community. You know, Mark's an Air Force veteran too, so we have the military connection, but we also have the jiu-jitsu connection. And he's like, you know, do you really want to continue taking that damage? And I'm like, no, dude, I want to be able to wake up in the morning and not fall over when I get out of bed. That really sucks. And so my healing process took me about 6 months to like start like not slurring anymore. And during my healing process is when I created Warriors Next Adventure. So I was like, you know what, I need to find something different. And I couldn't figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do with my life. So like, I want to help inspire people. Like, I'm happy now. 2019 was like one of my best years, man. Like I went to Hawaii and I spent 8 days on the beach. Long story short, 2016, I fucked up. When I went to Brazil, I met a girl and I married her because she didn't want to leave the United States. And in 2018, when I got knocked out 3 weeks later, when I was going through my bullshit, she literally just fucking packed up and left.
Oh God, dude, that
yeah,
are you talking to your hands again? You're fading out again. What are you doing? What are you?
No, I'm good. I might have been. Sorry, my bad.
Put the phone down and talk into it or something. Put it on your dash or some shit. Stare at the phone or something.
The funny thing is, I had a travel card that I used, and I had like 50,000 points. So when I went to Hawaii, I actually used that and did that as my divorce present to myself. And that was like one of the best things I've ever done because I spent 8 days just camping around the island. Piece of shit.
You know, I've never been to Hawaii.
Dude, do it. It's amazing. But don't do it like the traditional bullshit, like just stay in Waikiki. Like, literally rent a car and just sleep on the beach around the island. There's so many beautiful spots that are outside of that.
Well, I have friends that are. I have friends out there that invite me all the time. That's like, hey, you need to come out and hang. And they live. Some live in the community. Some are in the military. And they're like, you need to come out and visit. You need to come fly out. I'm like, yeah, I've never been there. I'm just kind of like.
Well, do you like nature and like hiking and stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, do I like nature, bro? We have had like no gas. Everyone's fucking loving nature right now. Nobody's really nobody's everyone's in nature right now. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I don't mind doing the outside stuff. I'm more of a wilderness mountain, desert type. A beach thing to me is the beach thing for a little bit because
Dude, so you have to Google Ola Mola 3 Peaks or Olamana. I can't spell. But it's in Kailua on Oahu. And it's literally 3 giant mountain peaks. And so they say, like, the first peak is pretty easy, but the second 2 peaks are not for, like, your everyday hikers. Because you literally have to go straight down a wall, and you have to use, like, a rope to climb down. The rope's just hanging there, and that shit, like, I mean, I would trust, an egg MRE more than I would trust that fucking rope. But I still did it, and it was a lot of fun. But, man, it was the most beautiful sight I've ever seen. It was so gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Everyone's like, oh, come to Fort Lauderdale. I was gonna say, look like for a minute there, I thought you said Fort Polk there, Eddie. You want woods? Come to Fort. No, thank you. So a lot of the traveling that you do, though, I mean, you had that happen, and then you obviously you didn't have kids with this one, right? You only have how many kids you got now?
I was very smart, and I did not have kids yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got 2 kids.
Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, that travel is what really got me to decide, I want to travel more, and then I started this nonprofit, and I took about a bunch of veterans with me on a mountain climb. I'm like, this is what I need to do with my life. This shit is awesome.
Yeah.
Because the conversations that come out, I shared with these guys my suicide attempt, and they didn't know. And I was friends with these guys. And they're like, bro, what the fuck? And they're like, we never would have guessed. And then they started opening up about times where either they were extremely suicidal, or maybe not tried, but to the point where they were, obsessed.
Well, you get
what you're doing is you're breaking down walls.
Right, exactly. Well, you're exactly that. You're kind of like you're dropping the wall to let everybody know that it's okay to even talk about it, because there's individuals that really get to the point to where they're they don't know how to even cross the topic. I mean, you start talking and all that. They're almost from what we're seeing, it's like you're providing an outlet to not be embarrassed to even bring it up by you sharing your story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's like, how many times in the military you've been told, quit being a bitch, or like, shut the fuck up, you're fine.
Right, right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What I'm trying to do is let people know, like, it's okay, the shit that you're going through, Drew Phoenix from A&D, I'm sorry, Drew. And whatever, his fucking jiu-jitsu school. I'm sorry, fucking go later for that shit.
He's gonna beat your ass for it. I'm saying, go ahead.
Yeah, he will beat my ass. He's a black belt, so I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked next time I see him. But no, he actually said something that made a lot of sense. It's like, PTSD is a common response to an uncommon action, or an uncommon event. It happens. Do you know the number 1 leading cause of PTSD?
it's actually any traumatic event. That's why it's called a post-traumatic. It's called post-traumatic stress.
But the number one leading cause is actually car accidents. You know.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so people don't realize that, you know, you don't have to be a fucking veteran to have PTSD, right? You know, and you get a lot of vets like, oh, you can have PTSD, you didn't deploy. Like, okay, yeah, but that person was fucking raped by somebody. You know,
right.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, no, you know? I hear you, man. I totally hear you on that one, especially because they have I mean, a different perspective of PTSD could be like you said, a car accident, a motorcycle accident, or you know, especially people who ride on horseback have that a lot too. They're afraid of getting back on the horse because you know those are other things are inanimate objects, but a horse is alive. And it's almost like it knows you're scared, then you get scared, and it doesn't want to get you on, then you all freak out thinking you're gonna get bucked off. You know what I mean? No, but you're right. I mean, just it's different point, or exactly sexual assault, traumatic sexual assault, or getting get your ass beat or something like that. There's specific events that happen where I know people who have been assaulted, guys and girls, and they just specific situations they would just prefer to avoid because of that.
Sure.
And you think, oh, what's the big deal? I mean, we're just walking from this point to this point, and then let's go around, or you know what I mean, just like little something like that. But you're right.
Well, to focus on jiu-jitsu aspect of my nonprofit, you know, like I said, we have different programs, but the focus on this tour is jiu-jitsu because, you know, that girl who got raped, right? You know, and the majority of women out there, you know, might have had something happen, but they don't speak up. I mean, because it's like, you get the whole victim shaming and shit like that, and there's a lot of women that are scared to actually speak up. A lot of men, too.
Right.
You know, even though we fucking joke about that shit, but, you know, this shit happens.
Right,
and,
exactly.
you know, one of the big things is touch. People don't like to be touched. You know, and veterans have the same issue. We don't fucking like to be touched. I personally still don't really like it, but when I get on the mats and train jiu-jitsu, like, literally somebody could just fucking walk up behind me and like grab my collar and like pull on it like they're choking me, and I'll just laugh, fucking smack them in the head or something like that.
Well, maybe it's because I'm so used to toddlers. I got little ones. You know, I got a toddler, and they climb all over you. You know what I mean? I'm so used to having either a kid jumping on me to you know, let's wrestle or fight, or they want to hold your hand, or you know, just standard. You know, it's just fucking standard kids. You know what I mean? You get used to it, but you're right. Your other situations that you're not expecting to get touched, people do get flinchy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, especially a lot of MMA fighters actually kind of have issues with that because they're so used to like putting their hands up every time somebody's hands come close to them and shit. So they actually develop a form of PTSD because what they're doing is they're trying to defend themselves constantly, but they don't realize that not everybody's trying to fucking hit you.
Right.
Know? And so it seems weird, but what jiu-jitsu does is it helps you allowed to be touched. You know, TJ from We Defy Foundation often talks about this. I don't like saying shit that other people said, you know, and trying to claim it as my own. So if I name drop, it's just because I want to give them credit. You know, TJ says all the time that, you know, jiu-jitsu really helps veterans realize, you know, like that physical touch is not always a bad thing, right? So you go in there and you have some fucking 200-pound dude on top of you, and you're laying down and you're trying to push them off, and you know, man, that sounded really bad. People don't train jiu-jitsu right now, like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Is this gay porn? You know, so that's
not that it's bad, you know, but you go ahead. Yeah. I mean, your mind is in the gutter, Nick.
It's always in the gutter, man. I can't help it. See, like I told you, I have an issue with balancing, like talking about like real shit, but also being a smart ass. So with jiu-jitsu, you're constantly focusing on, you know, what's the next move? What's the next move? You're not worrying about, you know, that trauma that happened in the past when somebody was too close to you or sitting on top of you, because you're worried about what's my next move. You know, what's his next move? Fuck, what do we do next? And so I tell people all the time, you know, one of the phrases that I'm dubbing in this documentary often is, you know, jiu-jitsu taught me personally that there's a solution to every problem. You know, and, you know, in jiu-jitsu terms, you think about it like this. If somebody's on top of you, there's always a sweep that you could do to get that person off of you. There's always a submission that you can do from the bottom to get that person to tap. Or, you know, you can tap. And so when you relate that to mental health, you really stop and think, like, you know what? You can take a lot. We can all take a lot, right? But everybody gets to that point where we need to fucking tap, right? And I don't mean kill yourself or anything like that. What I mean is go get some fucking help. Stand the fuck up and be a man and go get help. The most courageous thing somebody could do is reach out and say, I need help. Because what that person's doing is they're dropping their fucking barriers and saying, look, I'm weak right now and I need fucking help.
I say that a lot to we've had, and you've heard it, you've listened to us for a while. You've probably heard us talking to people who call in needing help, and we drop everything, the subject, the jokes, and I always tell the callers, and I always tell people who reach out to us. People reach out to us a lot, and I always say, hey, you know what? I am more appreciative and look up to you with more respect that you've reached out than you sit and not do anything and then take your own life. That to me gives me you should feel, that's a moment of pride in you, that you should be feeling that you've reached out, and now let's move forward. Let's see what help we can get, because that, like you were saying, man, that's the stigma is what the soldier or what the veterans or anybody going through this stuff are having issues with, that they feel like they're going to be laughed at, or they think it's almost like you're kind of, it's like I would be disappointed. I don't want to disappoint my dad. I don't want to disappoint a mentor.
It's like shame.
Exactly.
They don't want to feel shame. And one thing I want to offer up to you and all the listeners is, like, what the main focus of my nonprofit is: suicide prevention. So we run a 24/7 suicide hotline, and it's actually my personal phone number. So, like, please, especially the Marines, stop sending me dick pics. Okay, that's enough. No, I'm just kidding. But no, like, people,
no, you want dick pics? Okay. Okay.
You can text me anonymously. Like, there's a lot of active duty folks that actually will text me, and they're like, "Listen, man," he's like, "Listen, man, I'm active duty, and I don't really want to talk about this because I don't want to get fucked up." I was like, "Well, listen, dude, I'm not a mandatory reporter because I don't have any fancy letters next to my name. I'm just a guy who figured some shit out." And so what I am essentially is I'm a battle buddy. You can reach out to me and you can tell me that you're feeling suicidal.
Exactly.
But you need to talk about it.
No, it's
and I that's for no bullshit. Just reach out.
Well, that's the issue. Is that most of how do I say this? It's that most of it is that you're not a mandatory reporter. And I think that's what the stigma is of moving on to actually report to seek help, because they're afraid that someone's going to hold back their career, or somebody's, you know what I mean, that, or someone's going to rat them out or make fun of them. And I'm always about the non-reporter. Hey, just let me vent, and I'm like, yeah, sure. What do you want to talk about? And I mean, we will get it. I'll get a DM and say, hey, you got a minute? We could talk, and then we'll sit there. I'll FaceTime with somebody, or shoot the shit with them, or walk through processes. We do the same thing on the main page as well, and it makes. I just wish that there was, and well, actually I wish there was, but there's a lot of mandatory things that the military and the VA does sometimes that doesn't need to be mandatory, and
it's almost counterproductive, man.
Right, exactly. Because then as soon as you say, hey, what's on your mind? Well, I'm pissed off because of blah, 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 blah. And they start writing it down. What are you doing? I'm writing it down because, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Like, no, asshole. I just wanted to talk and vent, because now you're taking behavioral health to the extreme on one end when all you needed was just to vent. And that's probably what you needed. You know what I mean? You
Yeah, and then they take your guns and make you clean the
my god. Yeah. Let's not get started in that, because then or we're talking about your clearance, or they're talking about your duty position, or they're talking about, are you mentally capable of performing your job in your MOS? Just because you said, my first sergeant's pissing me the fuck off and I'm gonna beat his ass in the parking lot because he didn't let me go on fucking leave, then you know what I mean? That usually is not a behavioral health issue. That's a leadership issue, and let the fucking troop talk. You know what I mean? Let the soldier, let him vent.
I had an Air Force chief reach out to me, and we were talking, and I was kind of telling him my thoughts on the military and the way that they process this shit. And I was like, sorry, man, I just burped right on air. My bad.
At least we could hear that.
I know, right? I wasn't wobbling with my hands.
Go ahead.
I told the chief, I was like, the first thing you guys need to stop doing is fucking punishing people for reaching out for help. I was like, imagine a world of fucking, like, hardcore semi-retarded Marines, because, you know, let's face it, they all eat crayons. Imagine if they all were mentally prepared to fight as well as physically prepared to fight. You know, these guys are like, oh man, I had a really rough day, or like, fuck, my best friend fucking died last year, and I am scared to go back to Iraq. I still want to go, but I need to fucking talk. Imagine if that guy actually stopped and fucking, you know, shared the shit that was bothering him, shared the shit that is actually holding him back and stopping him from becoming one hell of a fucking badass. But instead, you take his fucking gun away and you kick him out of the military because you think he's not operator ready. You're fucking people.
Yeah.
You know, and essentially you're teaching other people not to speak up. You know, so I get pretty passionate about this, as you can probably tell. You know, and it's all about, I tell people all the time, you're not a fucking pussy for reaching out for help. You're not a bitch for reaching out for help. What you are is you're courageous. There's courage in reaching out, right? And so we've all come across the guys who are very vocal, like, oh, I'm sad today, this is that, and they overdo it, right? And so it can kind of turn people off. So I always tell people, like, listen, if you fucking reach out, you better fucking actually mean it, because I'm going to do everything in my fucking power to help you. Like I said, I work for the State Patrol in Minnesota. I don't anymore because I put in for a leave of absence for this tour. I'm actually sitting in a parking lot in Orlando right now. And they essentially told me that if you leave, you're not going to have a job when you come back. And I was like, bye. So essentially, I'm homeless right now. I have a long hair and a beard, living in a van. So I'm essentially a hobo. And with the State Patrol, we have the ability to find people. And so the part of the crisis intervention stuff that I do is people will literally reach out and say, hey, we have a veteran who's fucking missing, and we need to find him. And so what I do is I start tapping into my networks, right? Legally. Right, so there's a lot of things that you can't really do, but there's a way that the public can do it legally, and I know all those loopholes. So everything I do isn't abusing power or anything like that. But hey, I don't work for them anymore, so fuck them. So I'll do whatever I can to find these guys. Like, I literally found a guy who everybody had been looking for like 3 months, and he was sitting on a friend's couch smoking weed, eating Cheetos, because, you know, this particular guy kind of pissed me off because he faked his suicide and shit like that, and said that he was dead. He put out a fake obituary and shit.
Holy
I found
shit.
out where that fucker lived, and we got the cops to his house. The cop called me. He's like, yeah, dude, he's just sitting there smoking weed, eating Cheetos. Like, tell that motherfucker I'm gonna kill him next time I see him. I was like, who does that? You know, imagine all those resources if I would have put them towards somebody who really needed help. You know, essentially that guy, he does need help. Because if you're doing stuff like that, something's not fucking right.
You ain't lying,
you know?
dude, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that it just hurt me that somebody would do that, you know? There's a lot of people, like, I cried when I found out this fucker died, too, you know? So it's like, you know, now that he's not, I'm like, dude, if I see you again, I'm going to punch in the fucking
Yeah, you know,
throat.
and that's another thing, too. It's like, it's the one thing about the veteran, the 22 a day thing and stuff like that, there's been some real, I don't want to say grifting in it, but I'll say that there's been some sort of it's almost like somebody called it, I overheard a conversation, they called it a veteran grievance industry, where someone you know, talks all the talk about preventing suicide in veterans and all that, but you don't see them doing shit. It's okay to do awareness.
They don't work, man.
Yeah, and they don't want to put, like you said, they don't want to put in the work, but then also there are those that think that you're not doing enough just because you didn't take their fucking phone call 15 different times at different times of the hours when you're not qualified to even take the call. You know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword. Tell us real quick about the short bus. I got the screen up on there. What's up?
The fucking warrior wagon, man. I'm gonna rename this bitch to the struggle bus.
What's up with the short bus? I got pictures of it up there.
Dude, so we bought this thing for $3,000 in Florida. I found it because, you know, I know the hurricane, there's a lot of people living in buses. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get a bus and convert this bitch into a camper. Because I thought it'd be a good project for me and my veterans, which it was. It was a lot of fun. I think we had like 20 veterans work on this thing. But it was fun. It was just a way to get us all together. On top of that, you know, we're traveling for 50 days. You know, 50 days of hotel rooms is expensive.
Yeah, no doubt.
So a lot of guys who have come on some of my retreats with me will probably tell you that I'm the first one to pinch pennies, you know, because I want to save the nonprofit money and I want to maximize my effectiveness, you know. So why the fuck would we stay at like a 5-star hotel when, you know, we could stay where, you know, essentially the Army, we're just going to sleep in a tent. Fuck it. We don't always do that. A lot of times we get Airbnbs, and I'm really big on pinching pennies for the nonprofit. So I've reached out to Airbnb host and say, hey, listen, I'm flying a couple veterans out to Colorado. We're doing a retreat. We want to utilize your property. Is there any way you can give us any kind of discount? And I forgot her name, and I feel bad, but where we're staying in August 11th through the 15th, we're going to Colorado, and we're climbing Mount Massive. So if anybody lives in Colorado and wants to climb with us, hit us up. And I reached out to her and said, hey, I got a bunch of vets coming here, and is there any way you guys could do something for us? She called me and said, hey, my dad was a Vietnam vet, and he actually killed himself. And she's like, what you're doing, I feel like there's a reason why you contacted me. So she had to charge us the processing fee, but it was a $300 a night place. We paid $50 total for 2 nights. So this chick, I mean, I feel bad that I don't remember her name because I want to shout her out, but people do that stuff for us all the time. And when you have a good mission, and I feel like I have a good mission, but I also feel like I fucking execute on it, or at least try to. I mean, certain things go wrong, certain things don't happen. There's one thing in this nonprofit that I've done that literally fucking haunts me. Before COVID, we got a care package together for one of our jiu-jitsu guys who was deployed, and fucking COVID happened. The gym shut down. Post office were always closed, and shit just happened to the point where I wasn't able to send the package out. So all the stuff that people donated, I ended up bringing it down to the Salvation Army because I'm like, I'm not gonna keep the shit. So the family who was supposed to get the care package essentially wrote me off, and I get it, because their kid didn't get the stuff, or that they donated some stuff and their kid didn't get the package. So I'm like, listen, things happen. There wasn't a whole lot I could have done there. Sure, I could have broken in the fucking gym, stole the package, and fucking ran to Iraq and gave it to them myself, but I mean, that's a little ridiculous. And I totally understand why somebody would be upset by that. However, not everything is going to go to plan, like the struggle bus. Back to this fucking piece of shit. So $3,000, I ride this thing back to Minnesota, and what we did was we spent about 3 months building this thing into a camper. We got a bunk bed in the back. We have what's called the presidential suite. I'll send you a picture of it later. It's the bottom bunk is really fucking small, and like you can barely crawl inside there. So I decided to take that one because it's the shittiest bunk, and I'm not gonna make guys who ride with me sleep in that thing. So I actually wrote on the wood presidential suite because it's the president's suite. And we've had people putting quotes on the walls and everything like that. So day one, April 21st, we blew our fucking engine. Day one, 280 miles, we blew the engine. So I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way that this is how this tour is going to go. So we missed a couple stops in Montana. So we ended up finding an engine, which was great. And it's a 5.7 liter V8. It's a short bus, so it's pretty small. But they found a 5.7 liter V8, but it had a fucking cam in it. So we put this thing in the bus, and it blah, 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 blah. It sounds like a fucking race car. But, this thing does not go more than 50, so it definitely is not a race car. Day 3, we ended up leaving Fargo, and 45 minutes later, I'm driving, and I'm, like, looking through the window. I was like, God, it sure is foggy. I'm like, man, it smells like there's a fire or some shit. I look around and shit. I look behind me, which there's a bed directly behind me that goes long ways. And there's 2-foot flames shooting up off the fucking ground. I'm like, oh, shit, Joe, fire. And I swerve over to the side of the road, and I'm like, bro, get the fire extinguisher. And I kicked him off the bus because I'm like, I'm not going to have him fucking get smoke inhalation. So I put this fucking fire out, and I'm ripping floorboards off the ground so everything doesn't get ruined. And I'm pulling shit out of cupboards so stuff doesn't get broken. And I finally get out of there, and the whole van was filled with smoke. I couldn't see a fucking thing. So I get off, and I lay down, and, like, I couldn't breathe because I breathed in a lot of smoke. And I finally stood up like, what the fuck, man? So I crawl underneath the engine, or underneath the bus, and I realized the muffler had a giant hole in it, and it was shooting flames into the floorboards. It started the floorboards on fire. So the next day, I found a muffler shop 5 miles down the road in the middle of fucking nowhere in North Dakota. And we got a muffler, the exact same muffler that we needed was sitting in that guy's shop, and he put it on for us. We told him about the nonprofit and what we were doing. He did it all for free. He didn't charge us a fucking thing, and he had us on the road in 45 minutes. So, I mean, we keep experiencing that everywhere we go.
Did you take it out to a field and shoot it yet, or what's the status of this thing? What would it...
Literally right now, as we speak, we're sitting here broke down in fucking Orlando in a Planet Fitness parking lot because that's the only place we can shower. Because the engine fucked up again. So, long story short, let me just go around real quick. We've been to like 13 states. We've broke down in fucking 10 of them. And like one thing after another. So it was day 1's the engine. Day 3 was the muffler fire. Day 5 was the battery started on fire, which was fun because there was a grounding issue. Luckily, I brought all my tools and my wiring with me, so I wired up a new ground and shit. It took me 10 minutes. I'm very mechanically inclined, so that's the only reason why this bus has continued to go. The fuel pump went out, fucking fuel line went out, starter went out, the radiator fucking blew on us. Like, one of the fucking hoses blew, the serpentine belt fell off in the middle of the fucking desert in Lancaster, and nobody had the belt that we needed. So AutoZone brought us out a 6 rib belt when we needed a 4. And I just cut that bitch in half. Fucking used a razor blade. I cut off 2 of the ribs and made a 4 rib. And so that thing's been on there for a little while, and it's working well, thanks to some redneck ingenuity. And like literally everything. And then the muffler was having issues. The manifolds are glowing because there's an issue with the air fuel mixture, and it keeps blowing fucking spark plug wires left and right, man. We've gone through like fucking 30 spark plug wires. And so to fix that, someone's like, hey, dude, just cut the cat off because the cat's probably clogged. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. All right? Because if you know anything about engines, there's probably a backfire issue. So we bought a fucking Sawzall and cut that thing off, and we manufactured our own exhaust system in the fucking O'Reilly's Auto parking lot. But what we didn't think was we didn't dump it all the way out the side. We kind of had it hanging underneath the side of the bus behind the driver's side, and it was down far enough to where it wouldn't be an issue. But as I was driving, apparently we didn't tighten those fucking bolts down tight enough. And I will say this is the first and only thing that broke that I fixed. Okay, everything else that I fixed was shit that was wrong with it that we didn't realize. But the muffler fell down again, and the floor started superheating again, and fucking I had to sit there and manufacture a new one. And then today we're just driving, and then fucking clank, and we had a giant fucking rattle underneath the oil pan. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. And like I said, we're sitting here in Orlando in a parking lot. Tomorrow we're dropping it off at a storage unit. I'm flying back to Minnesota. I'm hauling ass back down to Orlando, picking up all of my shit for the tour, and I'm gonna get back on the road, and I'll be back on schedule by the 20th. So we'll be up in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, good deal, man.
It's been a wild fucking ride, man.
Yeah,
Let me just say this: every single time we've broken down, the generosity of this fucking country is amazing. You know, people always talk about America's racist. America's this. You know what? Have you fucking seen America?
Yeah, because not to mention the fact that have you how you guys doing on gas? I don't want to.
6 miles an hour or 6 miles a gallon, dude. It's so bad.
How big is the tank?
I mean, my truck, I get like 21.
Oh
so.
Shit. Well, hey,
it's a 24-gallon tank. Yeah, so like, the one thing I want to say is like,
go for
it. The generosity that I've experienced around the country has been fucking amazing. Because all over this bus we have, you know, the front of the bus is Warrior Wagon fighting, or Warrior's Next Adventure fighting veteran suicide. The side has Warrior's Next Adventure with one of our things. We're actually sponsored by Rip It, which is the coolest fucking thing in the world. It's a paid sponsorship, so Rip It actually responded back to us and sponsored us, gave us $1,000 to travel the country. So Rip It is the shit, even after war. We're sponsored by Freedom Fishing Foundation and the Bake Shop Treats. They make CBD gummies and stuff. And then We Defy Foundation and St. Croix Custom Furniture help us build the interior. So, I mean, to be honest, it's been a great tour. And every time we've broken down, somebody has either bought an auto part for us that we needed, or bought us lunch, or just randomly came up to us and like gave me a hug and said, my father was a Vietnam vet and he killed himself. Thank you guys for what you're doing. And, you know, people coming up to us saying, hey, we checked your website while you were sitting here pumping gas. Here's fucking $50, you know, get back on the road. And I'm like, God,
that's
it's
awesome
like,
shit. That's what it's all about, bro.
That's what it's all about. Absolutely beautiful.
That's what it's all about. Nick, thanks again for coming on again. It was a great catching up, and we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to shoot the shit. And you're always welcome to come back to give us some more updates, just like you did last time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
And so give a shout out to Nicholas Rahn, VIP CEO, head HMFIC, the man from Warrior's Next Adventure. We'll be right back. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And then, so refill your glasses and we'll close it up. So, shots.
Hello, mama. Hello, daddy. I've got something that I've never said before. Went down south of the border. Now life, it's got a little harder for me. I fell in love with some girl. She told me that she was gonna rock my world. Now I'm stuck here with no money. Don't that just sound a little funny for you? Well, her name was Maria. She told me she was always by my side. Went home one evening. She was with another man. He tried to run and hide. I pulled out my 45. I told them that I was gonna take their life. Now I'm stuck here on the run. I don't know the animal I have become, so won't you save me? Save me! Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you please put me out of my little misery? Well, I know life is short. Mom, you know I always try to do my best. Should've listened when you told me I wouldn't be caught in this mess. Gotta go now, Dad, I'm sorry. Everybody, all y'all need to know this is life, a true story. When you chase ass down in Mexico, save me, save me. Won't you save me, save me, save me, save me. Won't you please put me out of my little misery? Out of my little misery. Well, it's been 10 long years your sun has shined my face. Since I made my way out west, since I've been tied to fate. Here don't hold a candle to that home I left behind. I need that southern comfort to ease my troubled mind. Never go back home. I don't think they've ever lived this life I've come to know. But this'll be my resting place, no matter where I roam. So if I die before I get there, won't you send my body home? So take me back, baby, where the child in me lives and breathes. Take me back. Take me back, mama, way out past New Orleans, where it's dark at night except the pale moonlight. The swan plays a perfect scene. So take me back, mama, way out past New Orleans. Well, it's been 10 long years since your sun has shined my face. Since I made my way out west, since I've been tied to fate. Here don't hold a candle to that home I left behind. I need that southern comfort to ease my worried mind. So take me back, baby, where the child in me lives and breathes. Take me back, mama, way out past New Orleans, where
if that's really a thing, and I get authorized to do it once, it's pretty much gonna be me sitting there talking shit, like, constantly.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
All right. Man, that was fun. Welcome back to the last portion of the Monday edition. Oh, man, that was so cool to have Nick Rahn back. And we were blabbing forever. I forget we had to be stickler for time. I had the front desk going, wrap it up, G. You better wrap it up. Anyhow, thanks again, Nick, for coming back on here and giving us an update. It was like 2 years. We had, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been like 2 years since it's been on. God, it's been crazy. But anywho, again, Warrior's Next Adventure, check them out. You'll see the tag. It's already inside the post itself. And you know what? I think what I'll do is let me drop the link inside the chats here, so that way you guys can see what it is. And there you go, in the chats there. There you go. So if you're listening to on all the Facebook accounts, all the Facebook pages, and YouTube and Twitch, then you'll be able to see that link right there for Warrior's Next Adventure. That's pretty cool. Getting involved in jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. I'm really glad that he's. When he first came on the show, he was not even a couple months in, so that's pretty awesome. Anyways, so real quick, I'm going to knock out some housekeeping because it's that time. Tomorrow, do not forget, tomorrow we have a big guest. How I Met Your Mother. You guys ever see that show? How I Met Your Mother. That show, it's pretty cool, right? You've all seen it. Y'all watched it. We're gonna have Carter Bays coming on. If you guys don't know him, Carter Bays is the executive. Well, he's the producer and the writer for How I Met Your Mother, and he'll be on to talk about his career with CQ. Then, of course, we have Sergeant's Time on Thursday with myself and Spanky. We're going to be talking about some things that have been... She wanted me to wait to discuss about some changes that I was going to talk about tonight. But I will wait for my teammate to come on. And then Friday, we have... Kicking it with Cause again. Friday Night Freedom with Cause and the Pooks. That's good to see Cause coming back from his work. He's busy all the time. And then the following Tuesday is going to be Efren Ramirez, a professional actor for many years. You know him. Appeared in diverse roles in ER, American Dad, Judging Amy, The District, Mad TV, and Scrubs. However, it was his most memorable portrayal of Pedro in the feature film Napoleon Dynamite that has dramatically launched his what has been known as a hugely prolific career. Efren Ramirez currently resides in Los Angeles and New York, and when he isn't filming, he's spinning records as a guest DJ in clubs across the country. He's published his first book, Director Your Own Life, and he returned from a USO tour visiting our troops in Bahrain, UAE, Dubai, and Africa. So, man, that's a big, that right there, enough in itself. That'll carry us up. It's almost June. Can you believe that crap? It is almost freaking June. I don't know what to do myself. It's almost, and then it's going to be 4th of July, and then it's going to be, man, that's going to be awesome. Don't forget, we are still going to have our Memorial Day Celebration of Life event, and it's going to kick off with the limited screen viewing of Last Out Elegy of a Green Beret. And it's going to be on up until, it's going to be posted on the main page and the radio page till about the 29th, and it's going to come down because it's a limited release. And then we're going to have concerts over the weekend, and then of course we're going to have our Celebration of Life concert with the Bayou Bandits, which is one of the bands that you just heard on Memorial Day. We'll do a Memorial Day show all day on Memorial Day. We will be posting The Fallen, so if you have any anyone you would like to commemorate and celebrate their life, send your pictures and a little quick bio of the individual in the main page at U.S. Army WTF Moments so they can start filling it up, because it will be a salute throughout the day. And then on June 8th, Scott Mann, the writer creator of Last Out, elegy of a Green Beret, he will be on to talk with CQ on the 8th of June for Pop Culture Warrior. We got a lot of stuff going on. Woo, man, this is crazy. So let's everybody let's make sure that we kick it off. We're gonna have some more events. We're gonna have concerts. Like I said, it's a big deal for us, and it's kind of funny. It kind of grew from a suggestion, and now it's pretty much a pretty big event. I'm really proud of the team that's putting this stuff together. To get the band squared away, to get the teams good to go. It's going to be Once Revealed and Another Round are the other bands, and then of course headlining it is going to be the Bayou Bandits for our Memorial Day Celebration of Life event with U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio. I think that covers it. Thank you guys and gals so much for being real active in the chats tonight. It didn't feel like I was standing up here just talking to an empty room. And actually, I was actually talking to plenty of peeps in here. But again, we appreciate you guys hanging out so much, and shots. And don't forget, we have a show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday edition, of course, being today, starting off your week. Tuesday is Pop Culture Warrior with Michael Carrasquillo, also known as CQ. And then of course we have the lovable unpop cultured warrior. Radar. And then Thursday's myself and Spanky for Sergeant's Time, and Friday is Friday Night Freedom with Kaz and Pookie. So thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Make sure you get gas. Don't hoard gas. Don't you dare freaking hoard gas. Some of you Blue Falcons out there just hoarding gas cans. Don't do it. Anyways, y'all have a good night, and have a good. See you. Shots.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Intergalactic horse, and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. They say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport now, sit back, relax, and watch us through the Hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet of America. Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. The critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, as far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum, ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space Force.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.